All right, let's turn the page and talk about the Cavaliers, who last night, it was a wild game. At one point, I think they were down 19 points.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, that's when I stopped paying attention because I just thought, well, it's too much on the road against the best home team in the NBA.
And they were completely healthy, and the Cavs were without their best player.
Without Mitchell. So I just figured that it was going to be an L. But then, as I'm checking my score, I see that it was a 1-point game, like with 7 minutes to go. And I said, whoa, what the hell happened? In the end, it wasn't enough. They lost 115-114.
They had a 3-point lead with like 40 seconds,
30
30
They did,
seconds to go.
John Morant missed a shot that was tipped in with like 15, 16 seconds to go.
By the way,
Steven Adams had the tip in.
Right, Steven Adams tip in gave them the lead.
Yes.
But what led to that beforehand, when the Grizzlies had the ball with 30 seconds, whatever it was, they were down 3. And they called the foul on Jared Allen.
Yes,
that was a horrible call.
I didn't like that call either.
You want to just pull it, Mikey?
Can we see that play?
Do you want the inbounds play in the last possession, or
no,
do you want
the Jared Allen block call with the
block
minute
call?
left?
That was
the block call. We couldn't find the block
Oh,
call.
really? Okay.
Oh.
So,
but for those who saw it, I mean, that was a
minute left.
Jared Allen's just standing there.
I know. I didn't get it. I think it was one of those that you just chalk up the home
so you
cooking.
gave him 2 easy free throws.
But
it changes the dynamic of the game because if it's a foul on Memphis or a no call,
right?
Now you
no
got
call.
possession.
He's not getting a shot up.
Now you go in the other way. You got possession,
right.
3-point lead.
I would have been happy with a no call.
Yeah. It changes the game. But last night was a perfect example to me, guys, of this push and pull that we're having with the conversation about Donovan Mitchell versus the development of Evan Mobley. And last night I thought was just a perfect encapsulation of that.
No doubt.
Because Donovan takes up so much oxygen on the offense that at times I do think it has stunted Mobley's growth. But then last night, he has the opportunity. Mobley played great. Had a great night.
Jason, I thought the fourth quarter of that game was the best I'd ever seen him play. He was phenomenal on offense. He was confident. He was taking, I think it was Mikey that brought up, he needs that, was it you that brought it up or maybe G? He needs that foul line jumper, from the, and he.
One thing I didn't understand, though, at the end of the game, when Garland finally got the shot away that was blocked, he ran out to the 3-point line. Mobley did.
I'd have to go back and look at
it. He was out on the left wing, and I'm like, first of all, I didn't like that we were taking a 3 there.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
I didn't. Force the ball inside.
It was bad. They didn't get a good shot off. But specifically on Mobley, offensively, on the glass, and defensively, he was killing them.
He was great.
He was blocking shots. He was moving shots. I mean, he was phenomenal.
But this is the difference that Donovan makes because this is so we've talked all the time about regular season versus postseason. And it's totally different, and there's no similarity between the two. But the Cavs are in a nice little stretch here where they had at Memphis last night. They've got Golden State, Milwaukee coming up this weekend at home. This is a pretty good stick of where they're at. And I thought what was important last night with no Donovan. They go back to Darius as the closer, and you see why this team needs Donovan. And if it stunts Evan's growth, okay, so be it. You kind of live with it for big moments like this because Darius tried to close it out, and frankly, he couldn't do it. And Darius played great. And this is nitpicking a little bit, but I'm just showing you this is what happens. So I don't think we have the possession, but Darius shoots a 3 and misses. It was a good look. He was open, and then gets it back, tries to drive. They swat it out of bounds. And so there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Yeah. So Cavs call timeout because they got to try and run a play. And I want to show you this play real quick.
We got this one. You can take it, Steve. You play.
All right, so here's the play coming up where they have Caris try and set the screen, and it was a terrible screen from Caris. And as a result, you see Caris there trying to set the screen.
You're right. That was a half-ass screen.
It's a terrible screen. So Dylan Brooks, who's a terrific defender, fights right through the screen. Darius can't get open. They can't get the ball in. It's a 5-second penalty. You have another timeout left. That's a fail all the way around.
That's a huge mistake by JB.
You have to see that the officials get to 5.
At least.
Call the other timeout. Get a better inbounds play in. Do something there. I don't know if Isaac's a great trigger man there. He's kind of a young guy. You want more of a veteran in that instance, a guy who can understand the internal clock. So just a complete failure and breakdown there. And part of it is you don't have Donovan. And so when your point guard is your closer, it's not impossible, but it's difficult to win. And Chris Paul's the best player on the Suns, and they have a lot of success. But I've talked to a lot of NBA people who feel like you want your point guard to be a number 2, but it's really tough for him to be a number 1 and to win at a high level with that. Yeah. And I think last night was a perfect encapsulation of that. Darius played a great game. Evan Mobley played a terrific game. but they were missing their closer on the road, end of game situation where you have a chance to make a big shot and win the game, and they couldn't get it done.
And Jason, real quick,
Yeah.
one thing on that. We have the last possession of the game when they get the ball back down 14 seconds left. Steve, play the clip here. And this is exactly
Watch
what you're
Mobley.
talking about, Jason. Well, not Mobley here, but Garland against a good defender. Dylan Brooks is a good defender. Struggles to create an open look here. He passes, gets it back. And then this is what you end up with.
That's what you end up with.
Jared Allen also did not set a good pick there.
No, but look where Mobley is right here.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing out there.
What's going on?
Well, I think the play there probably is just get open and try and get a shot. But they did have a timeout left.
But look at the pick, Jared Allen. Usually he's great at this, but this is not a good pick here.
And well, no, it's not. He probably, but I don't think he knew exactly what Darius was doing because they weren't running a play.
There's no set play there, Jason.
Right.
That
really
is just
screwed up
get a
at
good
the
shot. That's playground basketball.
And this is the age-old debate that coaches have all the time. In that situation, do you want to call a timeout and let the defense get set, or you just want to
that's
freelance?
always a dilemma.
And I think JB probably was looking at this as, hey, it's a big moment. Let's see what they can do.
Well, you know what? If I have my closer on the floor, I say go.
Yeah.
But without Mitchell in the game, let's reset. Let's catch our breath. Let's draw something up.
Right.
And Mobley just drifts out here. First of all, I think they should have shot earlier in case they missed. They get a chance for a rebound.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing was poorly operated.
I thought they were out of timeouts at first, and then I went back and watched it again. I was like, oh wow, they still had a timeout. So that's the rough part is you still have a timeout. You took a 5-second call, and you didn't have a play drawn up at the end, and you went home with a timeout. So they're little things, but this is the difference in playoff basketball, especially when you're on the road. This is what determines if you.
And by the way, let's point out Memphis is the best team at home in the NBA.
11 in a row,
at
I think.
20-3. They've won 11 in a row, which ties a franchise record. To your point, they were completely healthy. The fact that they played this team to within a last shot of beating them on their floor was an encouraging sign, but unfortunately it's just more ammunition to what we've said all year. They're not good on the road, and they have a closing problem.
But I mean, if they had won that game, it would have been huge. But
that might have been one of the biggest wins of the season.
Absolutely. No doubt. I think it would have been the biggest. But one other thing we haven't mentioned, Isaac Okoro, who played very well last night, is playing his best basketball.
He is.
And I wonder...
He's playing with confidence.
Right? Like, I think he made every field goal last night.
I talked about it early in the year. Teams are just ignoring him, and Memphis was ignoring him last night.
Yeah.
And early in the year, he'd get the ball in the corner and give it like he wanted no
Well,
part
that's why teams
of
are
the
ignoring him, and maybe that's why he's having success.
Right.
It's because the book on him early was he's not involved.
Go back and look at a lot of his looks last night. They were wide open, catch and shoot, set your feet. You got plenty of time. If he continues to play this way, teams are going to start paying more attention to him. But this is exactly what they need out of him. That is exactly what you need. 17 points. I think 5 of 5 on threes, I think is what it was. Yeah. That's what you need from him. You don't need him to go 100% from 3, but if he can make 3 or 4 threes a night, even 2 or 3 threes a night, just being in the corner and wait for the ball on offense, be active defensively, be the athletic guy, be the Dylan Brooks of their defense, who did a great job last night defensively for Memphis.
Especially on that last play.
Yeah, he was terrific on Garland.
Well, Jason,
all night.
let me ask you this: from your perspective, with Isaac Okoro playing probably the best basketball of his career recently, are you thinking, wow, this is great because maybe he's going to continue to progress and can be a legitimate player? Or are you thinking, or if you're the Cavs, are you thinking, I hope he keeps playing great because maybe we could use him as a real trade chip?
I don't think you're going to trade him only because he's young and he fits. He's not making a ton of money. And I think you look at this and go, this is what we've been working on.
You know that's what he can be. But can he be that consistent?
Right, yeah.
And that's what I think. I think it's worth.
And in the playoffs, when the defense gets ratcheted up.
I think it's worth keeping him to find out if that's what he can be, because of what we talked about all year. They're not going to be a tax-paying team.
Right.
So what are you really going to get for him? You know, I don't know that they're really going to get all that much for him. I'd rather keep him and see if he can continue developing this way, if he can continue to grow into the player that they obviously thought that he could be.
We've got a minute, then we're going to Cavs fence rider question. No fence rider questions. Someone sent it to our group this morning. Deadspin picked up on our conversation earlier this week about, I think you just threw it out, happenstance.
About LeBron.
Yeah, would you trade right now LeBron James for Evan Mobley or for
Evan Mobley?
Yeah, straight up. And it was a fun conversation. It was, but it was funny. The way Deadspin wrote the article was, this question's nuts. Well, wait, maybe it's not so nuts. I want you to weigh in on that.
I wanted to crawl into the chair. I told Bull as soon as he said that, I wanted to crawl into the chair.
Listen, I did too. I said when you said it, I'm like, oh, no.
I knew it was going to get clipped and it was going to go everywhere and I was going to hear about it from
Sure.
someone. But no.
But on one hand, it is crazy. But on the other hand, it does at least beg for some inspection.
By the way, it can't be crazy if the fact you'd have a better, as much as I like Mobley and really don't want to trade him, you'd have a better chance to win a title this year with LeBron than Mobley.
But you're clearly selling your soul. It's a Los Angeles Rams type deal.
But like we said the other day, first of all, it cannot happen. LeBron cannot physically be traded this year from the Lakers under any circumstance.
Right.
Because of the timing of when he signed his contract. Legally, he couldn't be traded until after the trade deadline passes.
And the money doesn't work.
So
and
it's
that.
out. Regardless of the money, he physically, literally cannot be traded this year. So it's a moot point. I still wouldn't do it. I mean, I love LeBron, but I would not make that trade. I think Mobley could be a very special player.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it
in this
either.
league.
No way.
And LeBron's going to be. We were having this conversation before. I think that they're going to go to the playoffs this year, and if maybe they win a series, and then maybe next year they go to the conference finals and they lose,
and then they bring LeBron.
And you're one piece away.
Well, and the thing of it is that's where you have your cake and you get to eat it.
That's exactly it.
So you just
exactly it.
wait.
You build
and you see what he's going to do.
Right.
And bring LeBron
maybe,
in to close
the guy changes his mind every 10 minutes or so.
I'm in the minority, the vast minority. I think it's possible. Everyone says there's no way
I agree
he's
with
coming
you.
back.
I think
He's
it's
finishing
possible.
his career in L.A. His kids love it there. His wife loves it there. I'm like, okay, that's true.
They love Miami,
but
too.
the kids are getting older, and they're growing up, and I absolutely...
His younger son is what year in school?
Bryce is sophomore, yeah.
How good is he, by the way?
Better than Brian.
Supposedly better.
Yeah, he
really?
Is. Yeah, he is.
Which is interesting.
He's already 6'7" as a sophomore.
And Bronny's
6'6",
now a
6'7".
junior or a senior?
Bronny
Bronny's
is
a
a
senior.
senior.
Okay.
And where is he? He's moved up and down in the top 50 recruits, but do we
You
know
want the
where?
most recent, as in the last week update from 247?
Yeah, wasn't he like 47 or something?
No, he moved up. He's played really well this season.
Okay.
According to 247, let me find it. He is.
But does he get overhyped because he's LeBron's kid?
Absolutely.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
If his name's Bronny Smith.
Right.
He's 36 now. 36 now.
He's a very good player, but he is not. It's kind of unfair to him. He's not.
Well, it was like watching Michael's kids. I think that one went to UCF, and you felt sorry for them because
is he being recruited
every
by the
gym
top
he's
schools
ever
or no?
watched. Yeah, Bronny is.
And is it just because?
I remember watching Jarrett Payton at Miami, Walter Payton's son.
Yeah.
I covered that national championship game with Jarrett and thought, man, how tough that is.
Yeah, I know.
To carry that name.
Every gym he's ever walked into, for Jarrett, every football field he ever stepped on, from the time he was 5, that's the Bronze kid right there.
Yep.
Everybody in the gym knows it.
Yep.
And that is tough for a 5-year-old to live up to.
Yep.
Unless the son's better, which
I joked with him once about that. We were having a conversation. Savannah was afraid something was happening where it was putting too much pressure about if they stayed here, if the kids went to St. V, it would put too much pressure on the kids.
I think that would have been a lot of pressure.
And I said, you named him LeBron Jr.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was the first mistake.
He goes, I know, right?
Yeah, that was the which is maybe why they said no, he's Bronny.
Yeah.
Bronny, yeah.
But you're not fooling anybody.
Right.
We know exactly who you are. Okay, let's do no fence riders with Cav.
All right, so just a little background here. Bull was supposed to be off today. I was supposed to be in his chair, so I answered these questions as well.
Okay.
But I did
also-
answer.
You did?
Yeah.
No, he answered, but I
Okay,
answered
good.
too. So if you see a chicken nugget on here, I did answer. And it actually works out well because we had 5 questions. 4 of these are 3-3 splits. So one was
just got caught
unanimous.
on the
The
top of
other
the
3
backboard.
were
I know
all
it did.
3-3 splits. So let's start with the first one here, Steve. Fence question number 1.
It's the first ever fence questions not about the NFL,
You're
right?
right.
No, we did the Cavs preseason.
We did? Oh,
We did the Cavs
preseason. You're right.
preseason.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay.
Will the Cavs have multiple All-Stars this season? It was a 3-3 split, and Jay, you are the only person here who said yes.
I'll say this was very hard for me.
Also, yeah,
It looks like Jason and I are fighting over that nugget.
That is
Yeah,
Anthony,
really.
kudos.
Come on, man.
Anthony's off right now, but kudos to you, Anthony.
Jason, I've only seen you that angry once. And
That's a still shot from the show, for the record.
Yeah.
That was when you got so fired up about Baker was never going to play here again.
Yes.
You scream, he's not playing
Never
here.
taking another snap here ever. Although you didn't see me screaming at the traffic cop.
Yeah, that's true.
Someone did.
Somebody did.
So, yeah, I'll explain quickly.
Who are your multiple guys?
I just think that this team is too good to not get 2. Last year they got 3. They're better this year.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that Garland has played at that level, and I think that Mitchell has played at that level. And
I think it's only going to be Mitchell. I think Garland falls short.
Yeah, it's only going to be Donovan. I don't think. Now, I guess I should have asked for clarification on this because everybody drops out.
Which is why I went with two.
True.
Which is why I went with two. There's always guys that get selected after the team is announced.
I'm looking at this as the initial team.
Yes, that's how I meant it.
Oh, well, now,
Jay, you're right. If Garland gets on, you will
I think Jay
right.
gets that. I think it counts if they get
Jay,
in.
Jay does get it, but when I posed the question, I was thinking along Jason's lines. Jay, you are correct, though.
And by the way, I'm with those guys. If on the initial team that's announced, they absolutely get one. But someone's going to drop out.
Well, there's going to be a lot of someone's because
there always is.
And it's a cold weather city, and that makes a difference.
Yes,
and
where is it this year?
Salt Lake City.
They don't want to go.
Who the hell wants to go there?
It's a cold weather city for the second year in a row because we had it last year. I'm telling you, this makes a huge difference. Guys are going to come up with hamstring injuries because they want to go all day on the beach. So you're going to see a lot of guys drop out, and maybe Darius gets in that way. But in terms of the initial team, no, it's only going to be Donovan.
Yeah, so it's kind of semantics.
Especially
there,
the older players. The older players,
they don't care.
They don't want to go to Utah.
No, they don't care. They don't want to come to Cleveland.
Yeah,
what's number two?
Right.
Number two, and Bull, I'm going to let you go first on this one. You did not get a chance to answer this. It's another 3-3 split.
I didn't?
The Cavs have a 9-14 record on the road right now. Will they finish the season with at least a 500 record? 3-3 split. Bull, you also joined Jason and Jay. Actually, all you guys say no on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're far enough into the season. For them to finish 500 or better on the road, they're going to have to play significantly over 500 for the rest of the season. I think they'll be better I could see them playing 500 road basketball the rest of the year, but I don't see them playing, they're 4 under, so they'd have to play 4 over the rest of the way.
There's 18 road games to play.
Right, they'd have to win.
They would literally have to go 13-5 to do that on the road. The rest of the way.
Yeah, and they've got.
That's not going to happen.
They got tough games.
Yeah, I briefly glanced at their schedule when I saw that question. They got a lot of hard road games coming up.
Yeah.
Can I give you my reasoning?
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think home court matters to the Cavs more than the other top 3-4 teams in the East, meaning each game, one game could be the difference between being a home team and a road team, 4-5, 3-6. I think it matters for the Cavs. I think they'll play harder down the stretch than, let's say, Brooklyn, Philly, who may rest guys because they're not looking at home court as such an advantage.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're going to want it, but I just think the hole is too deep at this point for them to get out of. They're currently 5 games under 500 on the road,
so
which means they have to go 6 over, and there's not as many games on the road
left. No, they have to go 5 over.
No,
because it's 500.
500.
Oh, I thought it was over 500.
At least
Either way, to do that, there's fewer games left on the road than they've already played.
It's hard.
It's going to be really tough.
Yeah, they have to win almost 2/3 of their road games.
And I just don't see that happening. Now, to your point that home court is more important to the Cavs, couldn't agree more. You had mentioned the other day that there was only 2 teams with a winning record on the road.
Yeah, I think 3.
Now there's 6.
Oh,
so
it's still
that's
not
starting
a lot.
to turn around. And the Knicks oddly have the best road record. Or now they're second best on the road.
I think they have the biggest differential in a positive way of road versus home for whatever reason.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think the home court is very, very important.
Yeah.
But the one thing that scares me right now is, and I'm not suggesting they're not going to make the playoffs, but things are so close in the East that the Cavs are actually closer to missing the playoffs, finishing in the 9, than they are to being in the 1.
9's in the play-in still.
The play-in.
It is, but I'm talking about teams that make the playoffs, which we know are only the top 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
they
they're
should not
closer
be
to
in the
7
play-in.
than they are to
7?
1.
Yes,
Yes.
they're
be a
closer
playoff team, not a
to
play-in
being
team.
out of the playoffs right now, which there's
in the play-in round.
Yeah, they're 5.5 games out of first, but they're only 4 games from
The
being
East is loaded.
out of the playoffs,
Yeah.
which is terrifying to me. I'm not suggesting that they're gonna finish below that line,
Right.
But
you got to finish top 6, and
I think you got to finish top 4 if you're going to win a round.
Sure.
Because this team, it is what it is, and at home they're very good, and on the road they're not.
And really, even if you finish 4, you're going to have to play
good
ideally they finish 3 because the drop off in the East is after 5.
It is.
top
Right
5
now,
teams-
2 through 5 are separated by 1 game or 2 games, something like that.
And then once you get to 6, those teams are a level worse.
They are.
So
they are.
All right, question number 3, another 3-3 split. It comes down to our boy Evan Mobley. He's averaging 14.5 points per game. Will he finish the season averaging at least 15? Once again, even split. Jason, you said no. Jay and Bull said yes.
What do you have last night?
18 last night.
18 last night.
Okay.
Which
So it's probably at 14.6 now.
It's hard to a half a point doesn't seem like a lot.
It's a
but
lot.
It is hard.
It's a lot, and
This late
that's
in the
why I
season.
said no.
What he
And,
needs is like a 38-point night.
I mean, and we saw without Donovan last night, he gave you 18. He had
Yeah.
a marvelous game,
Yeah.
but he gave you 18
Sure.
without Donovan. So with Donovan, when he's healthy and out there, I just don't see.
I think you're
how that's gonna
probably
happen.
right. Even though I said over, I think you'll probably end up being right.
Well,
but
I wonder if it went to 14.6. Probably not.
No,
he
because
was only
I think he
three
was
and a half
actually,
over.
and he wasn't even. It's a roundup to get to 14 and a half.
Yeah.
Where he's truly
okay.
at right now.
I'm just being optimistic. I want him to be over 15, but I don't know if in my heart I really believe that he can do that. But I think
you'd have to average over 16 the rest of the way. It's 16. I try to run some quick numbers.
It's doable.
It's doable.
I mean, but it's gonna be like it's like your grade point average or your batting average. It's so easy to get that thing down.
Right.
It is really
It's
hard
get
to
it
pull
up.
it back
when
up.
you're playing with two ball dominant guys like Darius and Donovan,
Right.
he's just not going to have that many.
part of the reason I
opportunities.
thought he might be able to do it is A, his natural progression, and B, just that Darius and Donovan seem to miss time.
They do.
And when one of them's out, he has a better chance of scoring more
Yeah.
points.
That's for sure. Okay, next.
All right, this next one was our only unanimous one. And I do think there is a little debate here. We all agree. Will Donovan Mitchell make either the first team or second team All-NBA team when the season's over? There are a lot of really good guards. We all said yes. We all think he makes first or second team. He's probably a lock if it
Second
ended today
team.
as a
I think
second
so.
team
I think
member.
second
Probably
team.
second team.
Yep, I do too.
But there are a lot of other candidates. We don't have to
I
get
know.
into it today. We'll get into it later
Is
in
it
the season.
position specific? I couldn't
It is.
remember.
Two guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
Two guard
guards make
spots.
the team. He's got to be in the top 4 guards, and I just think he is.
Who are the top guards right now, Mikey?
Well, if it ended today, Luka would be a unanimous
Right.
first
He would
team.
be.
And then let me pull up. I'm drawing a blank. Well, the thing is, Tatum has the guard forward
He's not a
split,
guard.
whatever you want
I
to
don't
look
know
at
where
it as.
I don't know what they qualify him as.
Yeah.
I don't either, but
He's one of the splits. He gets both ways, which is not really fair. Bill Simmons just did a podcast. I'm drawing a blank on who he had, but he had Gilgeous-Alexander on OKC and Donovan Mitchell as his 2 second-team guards at the moment.
yeah, Donovan's going to make the top.
Yeah, but if it comes
He'll
and
make
if
this.
it did come down between
And
those
John
two,
Morant was also
Dude,
on
he's
third
had a
team.
70-point game this year,
yeah,
right?
and
I mean,
I like Shane Gilgeous-Alexander's a great player, but he's playing on a crappy team.
yeah.
That
That
would
makes a
have
difference.
They were his 2. It wasn't.
I hear
those were his 2.
I hear you, but I'm saying if for some reason it did come down to those two guys,
Yeah.
I think the tiebreaker is the better team.
Yeah.
I do too. All right.
I'm
going
gonna
to
look up. I'm
one, or
looking
have
up while
one
we do
more?
this, but this is our last question here, and then we'll get into some NFL stuff. Will the Cavs finish the season as a top 4 seed in the East? Jay, you said no.
Yeah.
Everyone else besides Tyvis
I think the
said
reason.
yes. Also, I think I'm going to include myself. I just like seeing the chicken nugget on the graphics. And that's just a nice touch.
You have to be in there every time now.
Yeah, I do think
The
Anthony
nugget
has
is
to make that a
fantastic.
requirement.
I said
Making me
no
hungry.
because currently they're not in the top 4. And I think the other thing that this is becoming a real concern of mine now, I'm hoping that it's not a characteristic of a JB coach team that they come out red hot and they sort of fade as the season goes on. We saw that last year. He prioritizes defense. We know defense takes energy, and we know that teams have so much energy in the tank for the 82, for the long haul. And I'm seeing signs over the last 3 weeks that they're regressing. And so if that regression continues, they're not going to finish in the top 4.
Right.
Right.
Now, you have other things going on. The Nets can't stay healthy. They did move
Right.
past
That's
the Cavs.
a big part of the reason why I
And
picked
by
it.
the way, I think they're 2 games from being in the 2. So it's
Right.
really tightly bunched there.
But since Durant got hurt, they've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, no, they're going to fall back,
Right.
and that would put them at 4, but he's also going to get healthy. He's going to come back.
Right, but is he going to come back in February or is he going to come back in March
Well,
or April?
I don't think there's any indication he's going to miss that much
No,
time.
I don't think so.
But
But
Durant-
they're not going to
Yeah,
rush it.
Durant.
They said if it goes according to schedule, he'll be back 2 weeks before the All-Star break, so beginning of February. They may just be cautious. And
Which
let
is
him sit
only
out
2
those
weeks
2
away.
If
Probably
it's 2
5
weeks
games
before,
away.
Right, but if it's really are they going to play him for 2 weeks for the? Wouldn't you just sit him until the All-Star after?
I
the
think
All-Star
if
break
he's
at that
ready to
point?
go, you put him out there. You just want to keep him in his game rhythm.
And he's very moody and sensitive, and you want to keep him engaged.
So, but I'm saying it's up to him though.
Well, if he's healthy and ready to go,
Yeah.
that's not a guy you can sit because you might lose him.
No, I say
Yeah.
right, but what if he wants to sit? Then he's going to sit.
Oh, then he'll sit.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
but
Yeah,
I don't.
but I don't know
think
why
that's-
he would want to
think that's the
sit. I mean,
case.
he knows what's at stake here too,
Yeah.
and they're
He
all
wants
in
to
on a
play.
championship.
And
And,
who's more
part of
miserable, by the way, Durant or Kyrie?
I was around
Yes.
Kyrie, not Kevin, every day, so it's hard for me to say. But Kyrie's pretty miserable.
yeah, both.
Pretty miserable.
Both. Why do you guys? Are you real confident that they're going to finish in the top 4?
I'm not overly confident, but I just think that I think the Bull. I would bet that like by the time Durant comes back, Kyrie will get hurt because he's always hurt.
Yeah, one of
and
them.
I don't know. I mean, I love the way I know they lost but I love the way the Cavs played last night.
I do
overall
too.
It was a great effort.
I do
and
too.
I think there is some fair criticism of JB, no doubt. But I think last year had to do with all the injuries, and I'm just
had a
hoping they
ton
won't
of
be
injuries.
just crushed with
Yeah.
injuries
Right.
in the second half of the
I
season.
felt all year they were a top 3 team, so I'm not going to back away from that now.
Yeah.
I thought they were the 3rd best team in the
Okay.
East
Very
all year
good.
long. So
Who
I'll
do you
stick with it.
if the Cavs had to play real quick? Cavs had to play in the first round. One of the other 4 good teams: Philly, Brooklyn, Boston, and
You want to play Brooklyn
give me
because you can't trust
Milwaukee.
Kyrie.
Yeah,
Assuming guys are healthy.
Right,
Assuming
yeah.
guys
If
are
you're going to
healthy.
assume that everybody on the Nets is healthy and
would
that
you rather
Kyrie
play?
Durant, I'd give me Philly.
I'd take Philly too.
I'd
Yeah,
take
give me
Philly.
Philly.
If that's the
The
case,
only thing that makes me,
'cause
I
home.
would agree Philly, but the thing that makes me nervous is like, how do you stop Embiid?
I know the star power factor is
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
there.
It's
How do you
tough.
stop Durant?
But you know what? It's like picking your poison with those
Right.
4. They're all very
Cavs
good.
have played well against Boston. I don't know if that
It's-
matters in the playoffs.
No,
but
doesn't
It
matter.
sucks that all the talent now is in the East.
Yeah.
It
I
really
know.
does. It
I
makes
know.
it so much
It's
more
tricky.
difficult.
Yeah.
For it's like all those years when the AFC had Manning and Brady. Not that the Browns were ever in the mix, but one reason it was very difficult for me to ever get excited through
Yeah.
all of those years was you got to get through Brady and Manning. No,
Well,
The
now-
AFC, the
now it's
AFC
again.
still like that.
it is back to
Still
being.
like that.
But
Yeah.
I sat down with Mike Brown and did a big story on his resurgence with the Kings, the way he's turned the Kings
Yeah.
around a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. And I talked to people in the Kings organization who said exactly, like Kevin Durant went to the East, and a couple other stars, Donovan leaving the West.
I mean,
and coming
LeBron's
East.
in the West still, but
Yeah,
Right.
but the Kings looked at this as like, this is our chance.
let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's
the
smart.
West is wide open, whereas we were saying that about the East for years.
We were.
And now
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the young teams in the West, like the Kings, saying we have an opening here.
Right,
the
right.
East is dominant. All the stars are going to the East.
Yeah.
Let's make a run here.
That's very true, and it's very astute and smart of that organization
Yeah.
to recognize when you strike, and
Right.
that's what they're
And they've
doing.
been a terrible